Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to our YouTube channel and welcome to this video. This is John from Programming Knowledge, and this is part 10 of our video tutorial series for PWA or Progressive Web Apps. So from the previous tutorial, we have learned that even if we have a new version for our cache, we're still getting the old version of our cache inside our app. So if we go into our browser and open up our app right here, so even if we change something in here, for example, as you can see here, we have the H4 or the heading 4 with the contacts word here, or and as you can see inside our page, we are not seeing the contacts heading 4 right here. That's because the app itself is using the old version of our cache. So even if we are updating our cache right here, it says version 2 and refresh our page. So basically we save our service worker file and then refresh our page. Still we're not getting the contacts heading right here. So that's because if we open the application tab of our developer console, right here we have the different versions of our cache. We have here the first version, and then the second, and then the third version that is newly created by us. So even if we change something inside our app or inside the index.html, we're getting the old version. That's because the application cannot identify which version to get the index.html file, because there are three right here, right? There are three index.html coming from the first version, the second version right here also. The third version also contains the index.html. So we need to find a way to let the user or let the application know where to get the index.html. So in order for us to solve that, we need to open up our service worker file, and in here inside our activate event listener right here. So currently we're just logging the service worker has been activated, but inside here we need to do something, and we want to delete the old versions of our resources, or the cache, so that the application will know where to get specific files requested. Okay, so in here again, where we will try to delete the older versions of the cache. So currently we do have the three versions. So what we need is to add a logic right here to delete the old version of the cache. Now the same with the install event right here, we need to use or make use of the event object right here and use the wait until function. Again, the purpose of wait until function is just to prolong the event of the activation of the service worker, so that we could add more logic or add more code and do something before the activate event ends. There you go. Now what we could do here is we could open up the caches, and then we could specify the keys, and then this particular function is asynchronous, so it takes time to execute. So we could add the then method right here, and then open this one up, and then we could specify the keys right here. So these are all the keys returned coming from this line right here. So keys equals, not equals, we're gonna do, or we're gonna add the function right here. And then what we could do first right now is to console.log and then the keys from our cache. So again, we're using the wait until function right here to prolong the activate event, and while prolonging the activate event, we could do something like opening the cache right here and getting all the keys. And then this is an asynchronous function where we could tuck in the then function right here, and then we could get the keys returned from this particular function right here. And for now, we will just display all the keys returned coming from our cache. So what we could do is save the service worker file right here and go back to our browser. And then what we could do is refresh. Let's make sure to, okay, refresh, and then instead of waiting, we could, skip waiting right here, and our service worker will be activated, and it will execute all this logic right here because our service worker is now newly activated. And we could see all the keys right here. For example, there are 3 keys that we have from the cache. So the first version, which is the original one that we have created from the previous tutorials, and we have the second one, which is we labeled it as the version 1, and the third one, which is labeled as version 2. So currently we're just returning all the keys coming from our cache. So what we could do also is try to remove the old versions of the cache again for us to tell the application where to get specific files being requested by our app. So inside our service worker.js file, inside here, instead of displaying the keys, what we want is, of course, to delete. So I'm gonna write in a couple of lines of codes right here, and then I'm gonna explain it later on. So return promise that all, and then we're gonna use the keys, okay, and then that filter. Then in here we could specify the key equals key. We're just checking if the key is equal to our, or not equal to our cache name right here. So key, cache name, and then if it is not the current cache name, then what we could do is map that one, map the content of this particular return, and then map that, and we will try to delete that particular key. So key, and then caches that delete. There you go. So basically what we are trying to do here is to return a promise, and then because our caches that keys expect promises, and then that's why we're using the promises that all right here, and then we're using the keys we got from this particular function, and then we're trying to filter the keys. Okay, so if a particular key from these keys are not equal to the current version, so meaning the current version will be excluded from this filter right here, and then it will return all the cache key which is not the current cache name right here, and then we could delete that particular key. Okay, so we're specifying here caches that delete. Okay, now if we save this and let's go back to our browser and refresh, so we're getting now a new version of our service worker, and then it says right here that we have an option to skip waiting. Okay, because this is waiting for the new version of our service worker to be activated. So what we could do is skip waiting. So we could click on this, and then of course the new version of our service worker should be activated. But we're getting the error right here: failed to execute delete on cache storage, 1 argument required but only 0 present. So we need to configure what is wrong with our code inside our service worker. So it says right here, this service worker.js, the line 37. So fail to execute delete on cache storage, 1 argument required, but only 0 present. So let's go back right here. So we're getting this particular error right here. Fail to execute delete on cache storage, 1 argument required, but only 0 present. That's because we need to save also other elements into our cache, because currently we're just saving the static, decomposing of the app shell of our app shell. But basically there are other resources that we need to save. For example, if we go to the about section of our app, and it says right here that this site can be reached, or simply because this particular resource right here is not saved into our cache. So we're gonna do that in the next video, and we will resolve the issue of deleting the cache after activation or on activation of our service worker. Okay, so thank you again guys for watching, and see you in the next video.